Welcome to Rock Your Talk with Leisa Reid. I'm the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now, the OC Speakers Network, and speaker and trainer at Productive Learning. I am super excited to have Jennifer Tamborski as our guest today. She's going to be talking about marketing and how to date your client. And if you hadn't even thought about how to date your client, then you're really going to want to tune in because, oh my gosh, she's got some knowledge bomb she's going to drop for us. Jennifer, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. This is my favorite topic, so
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here.
We're going to get all the juicy stuff. It's so exciting. And for those listeners who want to know a little bit about our show and what I have to offer for you, if you are a speaker or you're dreaming of becoming a speaker, I want to encourage you to go to GetSpeakingGigsNow.com and grab the 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs, because that's probably going to help you. If you want to be a speaker, you're going to need to have gigs, and I want to share those secrets with you. On the other hand, if you are more interested right now in your personal growth and really understanding the thinking that you've got going on, and maybe you're really confident, but then notice that sometimes you have some self-doubt or sometimes you have some anxiety and you're like, I wish I wasn't feeling like this. How can I move through this in a healthy way instead of just burying your feelings? You're going to want to go over to productivelearning.com/gift, because we have a gift for you called New Thinking for New Actions. And it's a 5-module course. You get free access to it just by being a listener of our show. So I want to make sure and give you those 2 little goodies before we get started. Jennifer, tell us a little bit about you so people know why you're so amazing and what you do.
Thank you so much for having me, Leisa. I am Jennifer Tamborski. I'm the CEO and Chief Strategist at Virtual Marketing Experts. And we really help primarily coaches, consultants, and course creators really start bringing in quality and qualified leads into their business so they're able to grow and scale at a way that makes sense for them, and they're able to do it effectively and quickly. So yeah, that's where we kind of live, in that marketing world of getting people out of what my business coach calls entrepreneur witness protection program.
What does that mean? Like you're an entrepreneur, but no one knows about it? Is that
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So many entrepreneurs spend their lives, they may go to a networking event, but they don't actually tell people what they do. Like, they don't actively market themselves, whether online or sometimes even in person. So yeah, they end up in what she calls entrepreneur witness protection program.
Yeah,
So.
I think I find that it's funny that you mentioned that. I find that with speakers too, or because I work with speakers who are at the beginning of their journey usually, and they've been dreaming about becoming a speaker, but there's sometimes some underlying things that we need to uncover about being visible or telling people that you're a speaker, and really like staking, put your stake in the ground, and that put your stake in the ground can be scary because it's different, and that's okay. But if we're able to go, oh, wow, I guess that's funny. The thing that I want, I'm actually, have some fear around. Who can I bring in? Like, whether it's marketing or a coach, who can I bring in? What's my next step to move through that fear so that I can help more people, so that I can give my gift to the world, so that I can serve people, all those things. But it's funny, it's sneaky, right? We don't know that that fear is there.
It's so sneaky. The mindset of an entrepreneur, that fear of getting out there in the public, and it's honestly, it can happen with very successful people, that fear of putting themselves online on a digital platform. They may be incredibly successful in their life in doing whatever it is. I know people that have built multiple 6-figure businesses through live networking. But when they put themselves online, that's where that fear hits them right in the gut.
Right. And it's different for everyone. Sometimes I've heard, and I know we're going to get into some of this in a second, but brilliant coaches and authors, speakers, who then when you get to technology, which is a lot of where you're on the behind the scenes infrastructure, that A's got to connect to B, you're like, and I say that sometimes I've had that feeling of like, this is sucking the life out of me, like trying to figure out something that I really have no business figuring out. I'm like, no, now I need to hire someone to bring on that team. So I know you've got some tips that you're going to share with us about how to really date your ideal client, like kind of like we're romancing and we're getting to know, and are we going to get married one day, but no pressure, you know, like, so go with that metaphor.
Exactly it. I mean, that's exactly it. So I look at marketing and sales funnels or a customer journey. There's a bunch of names for it, but really in the terms of dating, right? So we're all, I believe almost everybody on the planet has dated at one point or another.
Most people, but I'm sure there's some exceptions.
Right.
Children.
And so if you think about it in that same terms, it's about building a relationship. Business is just about building a relationship. And so I love to look at marketing in that respect, building an authentic relationship with your ideal clients. And so we go through a journey I call dating.
So what's your first tip for us?
The first tip I have is to know who it is you're wanting to date. Your target market is so essential, and often the last thing people think about. When they start looking at their target market, I hear a lot of people say, well, I can work with anybody. Everybody can use my services. You know, everybody could even for speakers, everybody could benefit from hearing me.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is when you're talking to everybody and anybody, nobody's listening.
Right.
You really need to determine that target market. And so get really, really clear on that niche, really clear on who it is you serve, how they think. It's not just age and gender. It's also about what they're thinking about, how they're thinking, what they're struggling with, what their dreams are. All of those pieces really go in really succinctly into that target market. And that is really where you're going to find the gold with your dating.
And process. I think where it gets tricky for, especially if you're newer in business, you think you know, or you have an idea, but you may not really have clarity until you've worked with some people and seen what's worked. And so it's hard to figure that out on your own. And then if you don't figure that part out soon enough, then you're kind of like, wait, maybe this isn't working and I don't know.
Maybe I'm not, maybe I know what I'm doing.
Right, you can start to doubt yourself, right? Yeah.
And it really does help to have an outside perspective. You know, I hire a business coach in my business because I can't always see what it is, you know, where those things are. So whether it's for speaking or for your marketing, it does help to have that outside perspective come in and kind of walk you through that process.
100%. And I at one point, it was a couple of years ago, probably 2 years ago, I fired myself as my social media manager because I'm like, I write like really brilliant posts every so often. That's not a marketing strategy. Okay. So now I do write them, but she does all the, she keeps me on track. So it's still my voice, but we have a system now to where I'm not sitting there going, what should I write about? I don't know. And like, just trying to get inspired through, you know, looking up at the ceiling.
Absolutely. And that's a definite, I mean, there are all kinds of people out there that can help you with those pieces that really help you moving forward. And that kind of leads into step 2 or tip 2, which is really having a process in place. So if you think about dating, like online dating, right? You have a profile. Like if you're on Tinder or whatever, you have a profile. And then that profile leads to the other steps that start to build a relationship. And really when you're dating your ideal client, having a process that they go through that leads them to one specific end. Every step of the way needs to work together, needs to flow and really feel like that ideal client is going to connect with you. So really stepping back and looking at your overall customer journey and making sure that all of the steps are in place. And you can that also sometimes takes an outside perspective, especially if you're not technologically inclined, right? Like, there are so many things when you're talking about digital marketing, there's so many pieces of tech involved. If you're not technologically inclined, hire somebody to help you.
Yeah. And it goes back to that, like, what is it that you're really, really good at? And if there might be parts of your business that you want to learn the tech side of, a couple pieces. Like I know for me, I do a lot of my own, like my Zoom recordings, I'm comfortable with that. And so there's certain Canva, if I need to design something really super quick, I can jump on there. I want to be able to have access to some of those things where I can just like, I just need something really quick. I don't want to wait to email someone and then get back to me and this, but on the bigger things, the like stable things that like creating your infrastructure and your system, where like I might just do that one time. Why would I learn that? Like
Yes.
I need to understand how it works, and it needs to make sense for the business. But there's no reason that I would want to be an expert in that, right? Because I don't do that for a living. Like I don't
That's
do that.
exactly
I don't
it.
want to. Right?
Exactly. And when you hire somebody outside of that, for that outside perspective, oftentimes they can see where the gap is.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
because you
maybe
don't know
there's,
what questions to ask, right? If you don't know, you
yeah,
don't know. Versus it's kind of like if like I could do an oil change on my car, but I mean I could read a book, I guess, and watch a YouTube video. I might do some major damage, but I don't really think that that's the best use of my time because I do not find any
no.
pleasure in that activity.
Yeah. Well, even when you think about dating in general or a relationship, right? Oftentimes you need a marriage counselor, or you need
Yeah.
somebody, you know, to walk so that you're both talking the same language. And it's the same thing when it comes to technology. If you don't speak in the technology language, you may need an interpreter to move
Well,
you
I
through.
think another thing that I appreciate about what you do is that, and I think I'll speak for most entrepreneurs, you feel like your business is just super special and it's unique, and it is unique. It is unique to you, but having somebody be willing to look in, like inside, like behind the curtain and see all the inner workings, and then take the time to understand, like, okay, here's what you want to achieve. This is what we can do
Mm-hmm.
for you, which is what you guys do. I think that's really special. Like instead of just like a plug and play, like sometimes you'll see like, oh, do this software and it's going to answer all your problems. Well, I've paid for a lot of those, and you still, it doesn't make you money if it's not set up, and there's still someone has to set it
Well,
all
and
up,
not
right?
only
So,
that, when it comes to marketing in general, I know you've seen the gurus, right? You see on Facebook, you see 100,000 people popping up in an ad that says, I made $1 million by doing this formula, whatever that is. And you can have this formula for X dollars and implement it in your business and make $1 million. That doesn't really work, because just like in dating, everybody's an individual. So every
right.
relationship, every business needs to be individualized.
Yeah. Yeah. And having that expertise and the outside perspective, I think is really helpful. Same with speaking. It's like, even when I'm doing my own talks, I'm like, I need outside perspective, because at one point I can't see it anymore. I can't
Yeah.
hear it anymore. I'm like, oh, I'm too close to it. When you're
Yeah.
this close, it's really hard to see, hard
Yeah.
to see clearly. So I know you have another tip for us.
I
What you got?
do. So tip 3 actually goes back to the hearing part of things, your message.
Hmm.
Being incredibly clear about your message. So your message needs to speak to your ideal clients in a way that they hear. So that's why, I start with tip 1 of knowing them and knowing their fears and their wants and their desires, so that your message can really penetrate that. And within that, sticking to the same message throughout all of your marketing. I have seen, one of the mistakes that I've seen people make in their brand or in their marketing is that when they start branding, they start hopping over. Well, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this. And yes, you can, but when you start throwing all of those messages out to your audience, they can become completely confused. They don't know what you are, who you are, what you do, what you sell, and that keeps them from buying, right? So when you can become crystal clear on your message and have that message resonate throughout all of your marketing pieces, it will allow your customers to know what it is you do and to be wanting to buy your product or service.
Beautiful. Yeah. Again, same thing of like, we may not see or hear that after a while or be clear on that. We just think it's obvious because we're in it so much, but it's not obvious to the prospect, right? Or to that
Absolutely.
ideal client. Wow. And then I heard that you have a gift for our listeners as well.
I do, yeah. So I actually have what we call Dating Your Ideal Client Roadmap. And so for those people that would like to download it, it's a free download. It basically gives you an idea of how a sales funnel works, which in my world is really how we market to people. So digitally. So it's virtualmarketingexpert.com/roadmap. You can download it there. And not only do you get that roadmap, which is, a designed out funnel that you can use, but you also get a series of emails that really walk you through all of the steps in the dating process, in the online digital marketing dating process.
And we mean dating, like dating your customer, not
Yes,
for real
dating your ideal clients. Yes. It is all about building a relationship with your ideal client. And all of my marketing message is about dating, because every step is important. We have 5 steps in our process that allows our clients to go from introduction to actually commitment is actually step 4, where they purchase from you. The end one is one of the processes that people often forget, which is keeping the romance alive. Continuing
kind of mimics like real life, right?
Exactly. That's the process. So yeah, so I would love, if your audience is interested in how to build that out or has questions about that, I think that's a good place to start.
Oh, wonderful. And now one thing that I ask my guests, it is called Rock Your Talk. So we talk about rock a little bit on the show. And that's, what's one of your favorite rock bands or rock singers of all time?
Of all time, I don't know how rock he is considered, right? Because he's not hard rock, but Bon Jovi is my favorite.
No, that's rock. It doesn't have to be hard rock. Are you kidding me? Bon Jovi's amazing.
I know. He's always been one of my favorites. I had my kids singing him when they were little.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's definitely rock. Elvis to, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We'll a lot of people fall into rock category. Very fun. Well, we're living on a prayer over here at Rock Your Talk. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you get all the next experts tips that we have coming on. And remember to be kind to yourself today. Be kind to somebody else today if you haven't done that yet. And we will see you on the next episode. Jennifer, thank you for coming on the show. Have an awesome day.
Thank you for having me.